Good morning, friends. Today we are going into the another repertory that is known as Repertory of the Antipsoric Remedies. Friends, it was quite astonishing that Dr. Henneman discovered the homeopathy, and with his discovery, he came with some of the medicines that was recorded in the Fragmenta de Veribus Medicamentorum Positivus. Later on, those medicines were also compiled and expanded into the Mitra Medica Pura. But Dr. Henneman was not satisfied with the cure that the type of the cure that he was getting from the response that he was getting from the patient. So he tried more and he experimented, and after the 12 years of his research, he observed that there are some obstacles, and he discovered about the miasma. The theory of the miasma came up. And with the introductions of the theory of miasma, now he has started making the medicines according to the miasmatic presentations. And that is observed in the chronic disease. So you can see that the medicines which are mentioned in the Mathematica Pura and the medicines which are mentioned in the chronic disease, that their presentations are different, because chronic disease medicines, they include the miasmatic informations about the medicines, whereas in the Mathematica Pura there is no miasmatic approach. Let us see the and later on, Dr. BOENINGHAUSEN prepared a repertory based on the antipsoric remedies which were available in the chronic disease of Dr. Henneman. So let us today we see what type of the antipsoric remedy repertory is this with this PowerPoint presentations. So it was known as, earlier it was known as a systemic alphabetical repertory of the homeopathic remedy, but it is also known as the antipsoric repertory of the antipsoric remedy. So we are going to study on this repertory. Now this is the Dr. BOENINGHAUSEN, the acumen, who is acclaimed as the father of repertory, because he translated the entire philosophy of Dr. Henneman into the repertorial language. So this is very unique things that contribution by Dr. BOENINGHAUSEN, who tried to make available to the professions how to use the principle of as discovered by Dr. Henneman into the practice. So Dr. BOENINGHAUSEN was honored as the father of repertory, and he compiled this repertory was compiled by him. His full name is Dr. Baron Clemens Maria Franz von BOENINGHAUSEN, and it was published in 1832 at Münsters, and second edition came out in 1833. You know something about the Dr. BOENINGHAUSEN. It is very important to know his background, that he graduated from the Dutch University in Groningen with a degree of Doctor of Civil and Criminal Law. Basically, he was a lawyer. He devoted much of his developing state agriculturally and became great interested in agriculture and allied sciences, especially in the botany. So his primary interest was in the agriculture. So and for that he published a book known as Prodomus Flore Monastris, and he became the director of the botanical garden of Münster. Now in 1827 he suffered from the purulent tuberculosis. At this time he wrote a farewell letter to his close botanical friend, Ewy, who was the first homeopathic physician in the province of Rhineland and Westphalia. When treated BOENINGHAUSEN with falsetla, this event made him the great interest in homeopathy. From 1830, he was close relation with Henneman until the master's death. Now, it is this repertory is known as Repertory of the Antipsoric Remedies, and it was prefaced by Dr. Henneman. The first edition was sold out within 6 months, and the second edition has to be published in 1833. Dr. Bonnigeson's Repertory was the first repertory to appear in printed form. Dr. Henneman himself was the first to prepare the repertory. The next was the Jha, and third was the Bonnigeson. So what you see the difference, why the doctor was he translated the principle of homeopathy. This is the thing. Whereas the Henneman's own repertory cannot be considered as a repertory because it is simply a compilation of the symptoms, and that's why Dr. Henneman was himself. Thereafter, Dr. Jar also compiled the symptoms, but there was no systematic presentation. Only Dr. Bonnigesens came up with the systematic presentations by using the and applying that law of similia so that it can be discovered well. So now these are the important work of Dr. Bonnigesens. In 1831, the cure of cholera and preventive. In 32, he published Repertory of the Antipsoric Remedy with the preface by Dr. Henneman. In 1833, an attempt at a homeopathic therapy of intermittent fever. In 1835, a repertory of the medicines which are not antipsoric. Okay, so you see the difference. Repertory of the antipsoric remedies medicines in 32, and again in 35, repertory of the. This is just the advanced version of the previous 32 publications. Now, attempts at showing the relationship. Later on, he discovered the relationship between the medicines. So, this was published in 1836. Then, in 1846, a very famous book came out from him that is known as the Therapeutic Manual of Homeopathic Physicians for the use at the sick bed and in a study of the Metra Medica. Then, in 1849, he made a brief instruction of non-physicians as a prevention and cure of the cholera. In 1853, he published The Two Sides of Human Body and Relationship. And in 1860, the homeopathic treatment of whooping cough and various forms. And in 1863, he made a great publications of the aphorism of Hippocrates with note by the homeopath. Now, what is the objective of his repertory? The completeness, it should be complete, brevity, and easy in consultation. This is always desired by all of us. We want that it should become, whenever we try to select such a medicines, we want that there should be a complete information. And it is also true that we see the symptoms in the totality. Each symptom has got the three different elements: location, sensation, modality, and the concomitant. And besides its relativity also. Now the fourth dimension is added by Dr. Henneman later on in the chronic disease that is known. So according to the location, sensation, modality, concomitant, and relative dimensions, relative features, and this relativity explains the inclusion of miasmatic factors of the medicines. So this is important that we should note that the repertory must have the informations about the miasmatic informations, and this was the concern for Dr. Bonnigesens to present like this. Later on, which he published the therapeutic pocket books, which also include the same structure, only it was made precise. We will get into the therapeutic pocket books later on, but it bears the imprint of the repertory of the antipsoric medicines. And up to this day, we follow the Bonnigesens evaluation of drug today also. And every homeopath honored the evaluation system of Dr. Bonnigesens. And Dr. Jha, in his preface of fourth edition of his repertory in 1851, gave Bonnigesens the credit of a system evaluating remedy which he had begun to use. So later on, it was recognized by Dr. Jha also in 1851. So this is the history behind this repertory. Now, this is a copy of the 1891 therapeutic pocket books of Dr. Bonnighausen. An original book signed with the author, Dr. Timothy Field Allen, dated 1891, Bonnighausen's therapeutic pocket books for homeopathic physicians to use at the bedside and the study of Medicina Medica. This is the New American edition by Timothy Field Allen and signed him by to a James T. Hardy, MD. So this is very important information that we have with that. There is a great relationship between the antipsoric remedies and therapeutic work. So every time when we discuss about the antipsoric remedy, we have to mention about the therapeutic pocket books, because therapeutic pocket books is considered as the ultimate repertory of Dr. Bonnighausen. Whereas the antipsoric remedy and the psoric remedy, they were prepared earlier remedy, and that you can say the precursor of the therapeutic pocket books. Now, the philosophy of the antipsoric remedy is based on the philosophy of complete symptoms and concomitant. Bonnighausen was the first person to understand the utility of complete symptoms is given in the organ and in the organ point number 86. You can go through the 86 and where Dr. Henneman has mentioned about the completeness of the symptoms, how the symptoms can be complete. And in this repertory, he tried to complete each section with time, aggravation, amelioration, and concomitant. The idea of completing symptoms was not new to the profession, but Bonnighausen gave a systemic formulation to apply and practice with the help of his first repertory. In the repertory, each section with its subsection completes itself. Hence, one who attempt to use this repertory and complete each symptom with its component by referring to the section and the subsections. So every section, there are different sections in the repertory and they each are complete in itself. Now this was, as I told you, that it was published in 32. Second edition came out in 1833 and the German edition was translated by Dr. C.M. Boger, and it includes 90 chapters with 52 remedies, and now it is in India it is published by Bijan Publishers in 2004. Now, the gradation of remedy that is used in this repertory is first grade, it is spaced italics, means each word has got some space. And then second grade is italics, and third is the spaced Roman and Roman in parentheses. What you mean by the Roman in parentheses? Parentheses means it is doubtful, it is not sure, but there are some clinical evidence. There are some clinical evidence which are not known. So these are the 5 ratings that you can see in also in the antipsoric remedy and also in the therapeutic pocket books. In the second edition, this is like this. The first grade medicines is capital bold, then all letter in the capital. Second grade in capital bold letter, but not in the bold. And third grade was in the italics, and fourth grade is in Roman, and fifth is Roman in parentheses. So you can the way it is presented, I have mentioned here on this slide: capital bold, Roman bold, italics, Roman, and Roman in parentheses. What we mean by this gradation? Usually people think that these medicines are very useful. No, it is not like that. The gradation simply means that the likelihood ratio, how much people are relying, how much people have experienced the use of this. The first grade medicines are those medicines which has got wide experiences and it has been observed by all. Second grade, third grade, what that it includes, but not completely during the clinical. And fourth grade, it was the observed during the proving also, and some very few in the practice, clinical practice. And Roman in parenthesis, it includes only the medicines which were observed during the proving, but it had no clinical evidences by the users. Now it contains a translator preface, preface up to the second edition, preface to the first edition, followed by introductions, then intercurrent remedy in chronic disease, a review of the antipsoric remedy, and repertory of the antipsoric remedy, followed by the index. And the translator preface, every repertory is useful. Now, this is the writing of Dr. C.M. Boger. He says that every repertory is useful. Unfortunately, no one is complete. This one offers the best guide for the selection of most suitable remedy in chronic disease. Hence, it is translated. Why he translated? He is giving the reason why he has translated, because it gives the most suitable remedy for the chronic disease. And he also says that no repertory is complete. But he says that this antipsoric remedy is the best guide for the selection for the suitor. So these are the feelings of Dr. C.M. Boger about this book. Now, preface to the second edition. In this section, Boger mentions about the popularity of homeopathy, mentions the drug added in second edition from Henneman's chronic disease, also about the changes that occurs after administering a similar remedy. The state of illness is changed and it remains the same. Now, the first condition is ameliorated, which gives another dose of the same remedy if symptoms. These are the guidelines that is mentioned in the preface. First is if the condition is ameliorated, wait for some time and give another dose of the same medicine if symptoms point it. Second observation is, if it is aggravated, homeopathic, it may be the homeopathic aggravation, so you have to wait. And if the symptom gives you the problem, then you have to antidote. Third, the sickness alters its symptoms complex remedy, wrong and change of remedy according to the case. If you see that the symptoms is altered, changed, so you have to change the remedy. Now, next observation is it remains the same. So, due to the want of receptivity, they remove either the repeated small dose or by medicines recommended for the deficient reactions. Then he writes about initially this repertory was limited to the remedy mentioned in the first 3 volumes of the Henneman's chronic disease. As I told you earlier, this repertory includes only the chronic disease, and the base of this book is Henneman's chronic disease. But when the author found his little repertory useful, he added the leading remedy in the 4th volume of the chronic disease. Now, this is the addition to the chronic disease of Dr. Henneman by Dr. BOENINGHAUSEN. Dr. Ruckert and others who possessed a copy of it found so practically useful and urged BOENINGHAUSEN repeatedly to put this little work in print. So Ruckert asked him to get it printed. Thus, he undertook this laborious work to attain the object of completeness, brevity, and ease in consultation, a strictly alphabetical succession beside the systemic order was necessary. Then he used different typography, as I told you, depending on for the remedy, depending on the symptoms that has been verified in practice. And the Roman in parentheses are doubtful remedy, which acquires critical study and which occurs most seldom. Roman indicated remedy symptoms that have been verified in practice. A spaced Roman indicates that symptoms which has remedy for repetition of its primary action, and italics are used where the results of the actual experience are unquestionably confirmed and already ascribed curative power of the remedy. And spaced italics are used where these results have repeatedly followed its application. So, now in the introduction, Dr. Henneman, one of the repetition, Dr. Henneman writes about the repetition of the homeopathic remedy. The homeopathic physician should generally let the careful selected remedy to act upon the patient in a single dose at a time and allow it to exhaust its action. A single dose is sufficient, especially in certain mild disease, particularly in children or delicate and susceptible adults. But in chronic and highly developed cases, often spoiled through previous unsuitable remedy, and also it gave acute diseases, such a single dose is not sufficient. So this is the reason that is a way to use the single remedy and how often to repeat. But repeating frequently may cause the vital force to expel this hostile overdose of medicines by means of vomiting, diarrhea, fever. What you say about the aggravations, the homeopathic aggravations, it increases the to remove the toxicity of the from the body by vomiting, by diarrhea, by fever, by sweating, etc., and skin eruptions, etc. Action of the remedy through inhalation is equally. Now, here also he mentions about the medicine, how to use the medicine. It is not orally that you can give the medicine. You can inhale through the nose, nostrils, and if you are and you are repeating the same things through the inhaling, it is much better than the orally condition. Expiry date of the medicines. Now he writes about the expiry date of the medicine. One globule, 10 to 20 of which weigh a grain moistened with the 30 potency and then dried retains its full power for at least 18 to 20 years if protected from heat and sunlight, even if the vial is opened as many as thousands of the time. So he gives the expiry hints about the expiry date. If it is not opened, it is kept alone, the medicines will remain valid forever. Now, intercurrent remedy in the chronic disease. He writes about coffee to great sensitive and painfulness of the affected part, irritability and the stiffness. Heper cells alternated with the nitric acid in excessive irritation from abuse of mercury, madness, excessive irritation with trembling, great restlessness in limbs causing constant change of position and great distension of the hypogastrium, mental anxiety and apprehensive great nervousness. Then mesmerism for the nervous general. Now he says that mesmerism is also useful. That is the consultations. He writes about the consultations. Then nux vomica, the nervous system is deeply affected and irritated, hyper sensitivity of the sense, fearfulness and anxiety. Opium wants of sensitivity, where the lack of the sensitivity of the nervous system and deficient reactions of the vital principles. Pulsatilla alternated with nux vomica for alternating to great irritability. Now, interruptions of the antipsoric cure. These are the guidelines that you have. Anger with vexation with chill and cold of the body, brainia. Anger with indignations, staphyphagia. See, why people used to say that Dr. Bonnighausen has not used the mental symptoms. This is purely a mental symptom. Anger with vexation with chill, and what he mean about the mental symptoms was that the mental symptoms must have the association with the physical, because mind and body, they live together in a person when they are either in the disease conditions or in the healthy conditions. So anger causing internal or concealed vexations, grief or shame, ignatia, anger with wrath, violence and heat, chamomilla, hernia descended generally, nux vomica, homesickness with red cheek and sleepiness at night, capsicum, love unhappy with inward grief, ignatia, love unhappy with jealousy, hyoscyamus, bruise and wound, arnica, fright with vexation, aconite, weakness caused by loss of fluid as sweat, pollution, etc. Cold catching in general, nux vomica, followed by diarrhea, dulcamra, dyspnea, attack of ipica, followed by fever and heat, aconite, and strain and overlifting in some cases, arnica, but better rust off, intoxication after the wine. So these are some of the guidelines that I have tried to collect here and let you know that it is the way that Dr. Bonnigosen and Dr. Heliman were using the symptoms so that you can find it of clinical usefulness in your own clinic. Now, antipsoric remedies, there are for 50 antipsoric remedies, one antisyphilitic remedy and one antipsychotic remedy in this section. The remedies are arranged alphabetically. Each remedy is described with their abbreviations, name, common name, source number of the symptoms, duration and action. And like example, petroleum, PETR is the abbreviation name, full name is petroleum. Its source is the common name is coal oil, and it is found in Hahnemann chronic disease 306. It contains 623 symptoms, acts 40 to 50 days, its duration of action, and antidote is natomica. So these 50 remedies are described as an antipsoric remedy, which can be mentioned, which are mentioned in this book. And list of the antipsoric, these are the list. I'm not going to read each one of them. It starts from the agaricus to the zincum metallicum. It includes the 50. And antisyphilitic medicine is the Merck virus and antipsoric. Only two medicines, because at that time Dr. Hahnemann was very much concerned about the antisyphilitic condition, antipsychotic condition, and later on the concept of the antisyphilitic and antipsychotic systems came up. Now, ground plan. It starts from the mind to the generality. Bonnighausen gave location in general, comparatively fewer parts of the anatomy. In section head, abdomen, upper and lower extremities has given location. Nowhere else he has given the location. So some locations you can found under the head, abdomen, upper and lower extremities only, but other no separate chapter is there. And chapter heading are given in bold capital, large font. Subheading are given in capital bold with a small font, like example vertigo and the time. Then rubrics are arranged in each chapter alphabetically. First word of the rubric is represented in bold Roman with the comma followed by Roman, which is then followed by semicolon, and then antipsoric remedies are given. Example, amgris fretfulness agaricus. Sub-rubric is given in ordinary Roman italics, anguish fearful timorous. Antipsychotic remedy and antisyphilitic remedy are given after antipsoric remedy after hyphen, like a B, C, D, that is the example, and it is a Merck Weber. The chapters are arranged according to the above order, which is expressed in bold capital. The sub-chapters are given in a small capital. The main rubrics are given in bold Roman, but the few places it is given in bold capital. Example, like mind, anxiousness. The sub-rubrics are haphazardly given either in Roman or in italics. Anxiety, worrying. Now the chapter head, there is a internal is divided into different areas denoting the denoted by capital certain letter. F indicates forehead, sinciput, T the temples, S for the side, V for vertex, and O for the occiput, H for the head in general. In such chapter lids, O indicates the upper lids, U indicates the lower lids, R indicates the right, and L the left. In the sub-chapter canthi, I indicates the inner, O is outer canthi. The chapter lips, O means upper lips, U means lower lips, and A as in angle of the jaw. In the chapter teeth and gums, I indicates incisor, E indicates eye and teeth, and J indicates bicuspid and molar, and O indicates upper and lower, U lower, upper, and U indicates the lower teeth, and H the hollow teeth. So these are the abbreviations. You have to be familiar with that when you have to use these repertory. Now, Bonnigisens followed the Hahnemannian anatomical schema inside the chapter. Construction is based on the completeness of the complete symptoms, that is head internal, location, forehead, temple, vertex, sensation, alive, ball-like, aggravations, ameliorations, time. The sequence of aggravations, ameliorations, time concomitant is changed from section to 10. It is no uniformity in every section. Somewhere one may be overlapping. Then index, this is the last part of the book. Here it is arranged in alphabetical order. Give the page number and its chapter heading and subheading are also given. Now, feature of the repertory. This is the first published repertory. Valuable introductions by the master is given about the repetition of the remedy, and duration of action and expiry date of the medicines are given, and progenitor of latter repertory, and it is called as the progenitor of the latter repertory. Even if Bonnick says the theory of grand generalization, a well represented mind chapter is given in this book with 167 rubrics. The rubrics are arranged in alphabetical order in different chapters. In most places, there are 5 grading of the remedy, but in some places there is a 6th grade, which is given in Roman with a question mark with the bracket like this, or a question mark. So we all know that there are 5 grading in the Bonnigissen's repertory, but there are also another 6th grading is also there. Then each chapter has subsection in relation to the time, aggravation, and ameliorations. In some places, synonyms are given in brackets after the rubrics, that is eye, tears, that is watery, so that you can understand. Face, lichens means scaly. Nodes, bracketed lump, that is antipsoric remedies are arranged alphabetically, and antipsychotic remedy and antisyphilitic remedy are in hyphen. Example: vision, blindness, night, bell, digitalis. This is italic and this is hyphen. Desire and aversions are given under the chapter appetite. For thirst are also given in the sub-chapter of the mouth. So the rubrics of varicose vein are given under the chapter skin. The authenticity of the medicine is strong since they are from Hahnemann's chronic disease and Metia Medica Pura, but there is no index of the remedy. Now, a special point, this repertory is most authentic repertory since it is based on the Hahnemann's original work. Bonnigissen's has used only those remedies which were verified and practiced. C.M. Boger's idea of pathological general actually came from this book generality chapter, and Kent's idea to general to particular has came from this book, especially from the section of the mind, generality, time, aggravations, and ameliorations. This book is progenitor for all work done in the field of the repertory. Now, what are the limitations? The number of remedies are very less because they belongs only to the Hahnemannian time. Concomitant are not found in every chapter. Time is given as morning, forenoon, afternoon, evening, night, and not in alphabetical order. And even the morning, the actual hours are not mentioned. Each chapter ends by underline, most of the times not found, leading to the confusion. No index for the remedy is there. The arrangement of the chapter is very confusing since there is no definite font of the chapter and the subchapter. The sequence of aggravations, ameliorations, time, concomitant is changed from section to section. Now this repertory is not being used because of the faulty translation. Publication of the therapeutic pocket books. Dr. Boger, beloved and disciple of Dr. Bonnigissen's, who went through all the work of Bonnigissen's and translated a few of his repertories, thereby practitioners could understand the value of this repertory and began to use in their practice. So this is Dr. Bonnigissen's work, and I thank you for your patience listening, and I hope that you have understood some of the theme about this repertory. Thank you very much. So we have completed the session now, and I hope you must have got a vivid idea about this repertory. Although it is not in use, but it is, if you go through the theme of this, what I have explained today, you can understand the even the Kantian repertory and also the future further repertory, Bonhoeffer's repertory, Kantian repertory, and the new synthesis repertory that is there. So, thank you, friends, for your listenings, and we are now going to close this session. We will meet again on next Sunday. Thank you very much.